The mountain doesn't forgive. It doesn't offer second chances or comfortable exceptions. When the winter comes down hard off the San Juan Range into the red rock country of southwestern Colorado, it strips everything down to what's real: the cold, the silence, and the particular quality of loneliness that only a person who has chosen it can fully understand. Clara Doss stood at the window of the trading post and watched the first snow of November come sideways off the ridge. She was 23 years old. She had a roof, a wood stove, enough salt pork and dried corn to last until March, and a silence so complete it had long since stopped feeling like absence and started feeling like weather, something you lived inside of, something you stopped noticing, the way you stop noticing the sound of a river after you've slept beside it long enough. There had been a different life once, before the trading post, before Colorado, before the particular series of losses that had rearranged her into the woman she was now. There had been Saint Louis, and a schoolroom, and a man named Robert Hale who had promised her a house with glass windows and a future worth waking up for. He had been kind and steady, and she had loved him in the quiet, certain way that a practical woman loves, without theatrics, but without doubt. The cholera moved through the river district in the summer of her 21st year, like something that had been waiting for permission. Robert was gone in 4 days. Her mother, who had come to nurse him, was gone in 6. Clara buried them both in the same red Missouri clay, sold what remained of the schoolroom supplies, and walked west, because west was the only direction that felt honest. East meant memory. South meant heat and more loss. West meant, at least, the possibility of becoming someone new. She had not become someone new. She had become someone quieter. The trading post had belonged to her uncle, a lean and tobacco-stained man named Virgil, who had died in the spring of a fall from a horse and left her everything with a note that said only, "You were always the one who could manage things, Clara. Manage this." She had managed it. The Ute traders trusted her because she was fair and learned quickly. The ranchers trusted her because she didn't cheat on weight. The miners didn't trust anyone, but they came anyway because she was the last post before the high country. She had been managing for 14 months. She had stopped expecting anything to change. She was at the counter on the morning of the first real freeze, tallying a bolt of wool against a credit ledger, when she heard boots on the porch. Heavy, careful, the walk of someone who was tired and trying not to show it. She did not look up immediately. Men came and went. That was the nature of the post. Then a voice, low and unhurried, carrying the particular weight of someone delivering a message they had been rehearsing for a long time, said 8 words that brought Clara's pencil to a complete stop. "I think you knew my father, Miss Doss." She looked up slowly. He was standing just inside the doorway, hat in hand, the cold still coming off his coat in faint white wisps. Tall, somewhere past 40, with the kind of face that had been weathered by decades of outdoor work into something angular and permanent. His eyes were gray and careful, and they were looking at her the way a man looks at something he's been warned might refuse him. She set the pencil down. "Who was your father?" "His name was Edmund Reyes," he said. "He went by Ed. He said you'd know him as the man who taught you to ride." Clara felt the name land somewhere deep and old inside her chest. Ed Reyes, the Mexican horse trader who had operated out of the river flats south of St. Louis for 30 years. She had known him since she was 9 years old, a compact, laughing man with a gray-streaked mustache who had taught her to handle horses with patience rather than force, who had brought her peppermint sticks from the city market and called her Mija without self-consciousness, who had been, in the years after her father left and before Robert came, the closest thing to a steady male presence in her life. "Ed's gone," she said. It wasn't a question. 8 weeks ago. The man held her gaze. "Fever took him fast. His name is Marcus." He paused. "I'm his son." She looked at him more carefully now. The jaw, she thought, and something in the set of the shoulders. Yes, she could see Ed in there, under all the years and the weather. "He sent you here," she said. Marcus Reyes reached into his coat and produced a folded letter, sealed with a plain wax press. He set it on the counter between them. "He wrote it 6 days before he died," he said. "He told me to find you. He said you'd probably tell me to leave." He looked at the letter, then back at her. "He also said that if you did, I should tell you He was calling in the debt from the summer of the gray mare. Clara's hand went still on the counter. She knew exactly what debt he meant. She took the letter. She read it at the stove that evening, while Marcus Reyes sat at the far end of the room with a cup of coffee and the patience of a man who had learned not to rush things. Ed's handwriting was slow and deliberate, the writing of a man who had taught himself late in life and treated every letter with a craftsman's respect. "Clara," it said, "if you are reading this, Marcus found you, which means you did not turn him away at the door, which means I know you better than you think I do. My son is a good man and a difficult one. He spent 15 years as a deputy marshal in New Mexico and came out of it with a broken hand that healed wrong, a reputation that makes strangers careful around him, and a particular talent for refusing help that I spent 30 years unable to cure. He is also, and I say this as his father without apology, lost. Not geographically, the other kind. He needs a winter, not charity. He would walk 50 miles through snow before he accepted charity. He needs work and honest pay, and a place where nobody knows the stories that have been told about him. You have a trading post in the mountains that my friend Virgil always said was one good hired hand short of prosperous. Marcus can fix anything with 4 walls and a roof. He is good with animals and better with accounts than he pretends. I am asking you for 1 season. Let him earn his keep. After that, if he wants to go, you let him go. If he wants to stay, you let him decide. You told me once, that summer you were 16, and the gray mare nearly killed us both, that you wished the world had more people in it who meant what they said. I told you it did, you just had to stop moving long enough to let them find you. I think you have been moving ever since, Clara. Even from a window. Even standing still. Stop moving. She folded the letter. She did not fold it the way she folded invoices and tallies. She folded it carefully, like something she intended to keep. She looked across the room at Marcus Reyes, who was looking at the fire with the expression of a man who had made peace with whatever answer was coming. Your father had no right, she said quietly. No, Marcus agreed. He didn't. He looked at her then, directly, without apology. I'm not looking for what you think I'm looking for. I know what a woman alone in a trading post thinks when a stranger comes to her door with a letter. I'm not asking for that. I'm asking for work and a place to sleep through the winter. That's all it has to be. Clara looked at the folded letter in her hands. Outside, the wind came off the mountain with a long, low sound, like something that had been patient for a very long time. There's a storeroom in the back, she said. Cot's not comfortable, but it's off the floor. She turned back to the counter. I open at first light. Whoever's here works. She did not look up to see his expression, but she heard him set down the coffee cup, and the sound of it was careful and deliberate, like a man who understood the weight of what he'd just been given. Before we continue, I want to know something. What state are you listening from today? Drop it in the comments below. It means more than you know to understand where this voice is reaching. Now, let's get back to what happened next, because what came after that first winter morning is the part I haven't been able to stop thinking about. The first 2 weeks were built of cold air and practical necessity and almost nothing else. Marcus rose before Clara did, which she discovered on the 3rd morning when she came out to find the porch swept, the water barrel filled from the creek, and a neat stack of split firewood beside the door that had not been there the night before. She stood looking at it for a moment in the blue pre-dawn light, then went inside and started the stove without comment. He was good with his hands, as Ed had promised. The storeroom roof had been leaking at the north corner for 2 months. He fixed it in an afternoon with scavenged timber and tar paper, and did not ask her where she kept the tools, because he had already quietly located them. The hinges on the trade window were warped from frost heave. He refit them to true in a morning. He found the error in her October accounts, a transposed figure in the flour ledger that had been costing her $3 a month, and told her about it plainly, without making her feel foolish for missing it. She watched him the way you watch weather in mountain country, carefully, at distance, waiting to understand what kind of thing he was. He was not a storm. He was the aftermath of one. The particular stillness of a landscape after something violent has moved through, and the dust has settled, and everything that was going to fall has already fallen. They did not talk much. She asked about the work. He answered in facts. He asked about the suppliers. She answered in names and schedules. They built a functional arrangement out of the exchange of necessary information, and neither of them reached past it. On the 16th day, A Ute trader named Soaring Elk came in with a string of horses to sell and a dispute about the previous month's credit that he expressed at increasing volume until Marcus, who had been quietly repairing the back shelving, stepped into the front room. He did not raise his voice. He did not touch his side, where Clara had noticed he no longer wore a gun. He simply looked at Soaring Elk with the gray, level patience of a man who has stood in front of louder problems than this one, and said, quietly, "The ledger's right. Miss Doss doesn't make errors. But if you'd like to go through it line by line, I'll translate for anyone who needs it." Soaring Elk looked at him for a long moment. Then he laughed, which was not what Clara had expected, and said something to his companion in Ute that made the companion laugh too. The credit was settled. The horses were purchased at fair price. After Soaring Elk left, Clara looked at Marcus from across the counter. "You speak Ute," she said. "Some," he said. "Enough. Most men who spent 15 years as a deputy in New Mexico speak Apache and nothing else." He looked at her for a moment, and something shifted behind his eyes. Not defensiveness, but the slight recalibration of a man who realizes he has been read more carefully than he expected. "Most men don't stay in one territory," he said. She went back to her ledger. But for the rest of that afternoon, she found herself noticing exactly where he was in the room. That evening, after she had closed the trade window and he had finished banking the stove, she found him sitting on the porch steps in the cold, looking up. The sky over the San Juans was extraordinary, a black vault with the Milky Way laid across it in a broad, luminous swath, the kind of sky that only exists above 8,000 feet in the clear, dry heart of winter. She brought 2 cups of coffee and set one beside him without asking permission and sat on the top step. After a time, she said, "Ed used to watch the sky the same way. He taught me that," Marcus said. "He said most people look at the stars and feel small. He said that was the wrong way to do it." "What's the right way?" Marcus looked up. "He said to look at them like they were the fires of everyone who came before, so you feel crowded, not alone." Clara looked up. She had not looked at the sky as anything other than a weather indicator in longer than she could remember. Tonight, for the first time in 2 years, she felt something in her chest shift, a small, almost imperceptible movement, like a door somewhere, opening a quarter of an inch. Not enough to see through, just enough to feel the air. "He talked about you," Marcus said. "Often." He was looking at the sky, not at her. "He said you were the most capable person he knew, and that you were wasting it on caution." A pause. He said it with admiration. "That sounds like Ed." "He was usually right," Marcus said. "About other people. He was less reliable about himself." He stopped. "I didn't come back when he got sick as fast as I should have. I knew he was ill, and I had a case I told myself couldn't wait, and He stopped again. Clara did not offer anything to fill the silence. She had learned, in 2 years of managing things alone, that some silences needed to be sat in rather than papered over. "He didn't blame me," Marcus said finally. "That was worse, in a way." They sat in the cold for another 20 minutes without speaking. When Clara went inside, she left the lamp in the window, burning a half hour longer than usual. She told herself it was habit. She knew it wasn't. They rode into the town of Durango together in the 3rd week of November for supplies that couldn't wait and a bankers' meeting Clara had been putting off since October. Durango was not a generous town when it came to women conducting business without male accompaniment, and she had been dreading it. She felt the shift in the air the moment they tied their horses outside the bank. The particular quality of attention that a frontier town pays to a young woman arrived somewhere unexpected. Men she recognized from previous supply trips looked at Marcus and then at her with expressions that rearranged themselves too quickly to be natural. Inside the bank, a man named Calloway, who had twice offered to buy the trading post at insulting prices and once suggested that a woman managing a mountain post alone was an invitation to misfortune, looked at Marcus with the careful reassessment of someone doing arithmetic. "Carter," Calloway said, apparently mistaking Marcus for someone he feared. "Raise," Marcus said pleasantly. Calloway's arithmetic revised itself. "Miss Doss," he said, turning to her with an air of concession. "The terms you proposed in your September letter. I'll be accepting them," Clara said. As written, Calloway accepted them. On the road home, the silence between them was warmer than any silence they had managed before. Different in texture, the silence of people who have been through something together, however small. "You didn't have to be there," Clara said. I know, Marcus said. Calloway thinks you're someone called Carter. I know that too. Doesn't that bother you? He looked at the long white road ahead, at the snow-covered peaks catching the last of the afternoon light. A year ago, it would have, he said. A man named Carter put 3 bullets in me outside of Albuquerque and then walked free because of who his family was. I spent about 6 months being angry about people's confusion. He paused. I'm past it now. Clara looked at him. 3 bullets. I'm a poor study, he said. His voice carried something dry at the edges, not quite humor but not far from it. And despite herself, despite everything, she almost smiled. The man from the bank overhang was still watching them as they turned the road north toward the mountain. He had seen everything. He filed it away with the patience of someone who was being paid to wait. It was in the 4th week that she found the maps. She had gone into the storeroom to retrieve a bolt of canvas and found them spread across the cot in careful arrangement, not road maps or survey maps, but hand-drawn ones, done in ink and pencil with the precision of someone who had been taught to observe and had never stopped. Topographical sketches of the mountain range east of the post, rendered with an accuracy that went past utility into something else. A detailed drawing of the river crossing 6 miles south, every rock and gravel bar accounted for, the current indicated with small, careful arrows. A plan of the trading post itself, the building and the outbuildings and the property lines, drawn with the kind of attention that meant whoever made it had been looking at this place not as a temporary shelter, but as something worth understanding fully. And one small drawing, set apart from the others. A woman at a counter, seen from the doorway. Not a portrait, the face was suggested, not detailed, but the posture was exact. The set of the shoulders, the slight downward angle of the head over a ledger, the particular quality of a person alone in a room who has made their peace with it. He was in the doorway when she looked up. She waited for him to be embarrassed. He wasn't. Your father taught you this, she said. It wasn't a question. He said a man who can't draw a thing can't fully see it. He came into the room and looked at the maps without apology. It started as a practical skill. Mapping territory was part of the work. She looked at the drawing of the woman at the counter for a long moment. You made this look, she started. Like what? He asked. She couldn't finish the sentence, because the word that came to her was permanent, like something that mattered, like something worth recording. You're wasting your time on roof repairs, she said finally. What are you actually good at? He looked at the maps. A person needs both, he said. The roof keeps the cold out. The maps keep me honest. Clara set the drawing of the woman back on the cot with the same care she would have used for something fragile. Could you do something for me? What do you need? She looked out the storeroom window at the white mountain and the gray sky and the country she had been living inside of for 14 months without really seeing it. Draw me the view from the East Ridge, she said. The way it actually looks, not the way a survey would draw it. He looked at her for a moment, measuring something, the way she had measured him in those first careful weeks. I already know what it'll show, he said. 5 days later, he gave her the drawing. It was the East Ridge, true to its word, the exact topography, the exact angle of the San Juans, in the middle distance. But the way he had rendered the light was not a cartographer's exercise. The morning sun came across the page in long diagonal lines, catching the snow on the upper peaks and turning it from white to something almost gold. In the foreground, barely suggested but unmistakably present, the roof of the trading post, one corner of the porch. And on the porch, 2 figures, standing at the rail, looking east, not touching, just standing. That evening, Clara was not at supper. He found her at the creek, sitting on the ice-edged bank with her knees drawn up, her face doing something complicated. He said her name. She looked up. Her eyes were clear, but barely. The aftermath of something. She wiped her face with the directness of a woman who does not perform vulnerability and said, "There's something you need to know. Something your father didn't put in the letter because he understood if he did, you wouldn't come." Marcus sat across from her on a flat rock and waited. "I'm not just a woman managing a trading post," she said. "A man named Gerald Pruitt, who holds the county land office contract and claims a lien on this property from my uncle's unpaid debts. Debts I have never been able to verify, and he has never produced original documentation for, has given..." Me until the end of the season to either pay a sum I cannot pay or surrender the post. She said it without drama, which made it considerably worse. There's also a legal question about whether a woman can hold a territorial land title at all without a male co-signatory. Pruitt knows that. He's been using it. Marcus was quiet for a long time. "Why didn't my father tell me that?" he said. She looked at him, and her voice was steady and sad and proud, all at the same time. "Because he wanted you to come here because you wanted to?" she said quietly. "Not because you felt obligated to fix something. He knew you. He knew you'd spend the whole winter solving a legal problem, instead of—" She stopped. "Instead of what?" Marcus asked. She looked at the creek ice instead of at him. "Instead of just being here." This is the part of the story that gets me every time. Ed Reyes could have written everything in that letter. He knew his son. He knew the situation. He chose not to, because he understood that a man who comes to save someone is playing a different role than a man who simply stays. And he trusted that if Marcus just stayed long enough, the difference would take care of itself. That's not manipulation. That's a dying man who knew the people he loved better than they knew themselves. Marcus looked at the two small figures on the porch in the drawing he had given her, which she was still holding. He didn't put it down. He didn't sleep that night. He lay in the storeroom in the dark and took stock of the rooms inside himself, the ones he'd been keeping locked since Albuquerque, since the 3 bullets, since the 6 months of anger that had cured into something colder and more permanent. The room with the case files in it, the room with the names of the men who'd walked free, the room he'd built around himself when he stopped being a marshal and became just a man with a reputation he hadn't asked for and a hand that hadn't healed right, and no particular reason to be anywhere specific. Somewhere around 2 in the morning, he admitted something to himself that he'd been refusing to look at for weeks. He was not ready for the season to end. It wasn't the debt question, though that was real. It wasn't Ed's letter, though that had started it. It was something that had grown out of the daily small facts of this place. The ledger she kept with such precise care, the way she spoke to the Ute traders with the same direct respect she used for everyone, the morning she had brought him coffee on the porch without asking if he wanted it, as if it had simply been obvious. The way she had looked at the drawing of the woman at the counter, not with vanity or discomfort, but with the expression of someone being seen clearly for the first time in a long while. He was afraid of it. The way you are afraid of a river crossing in snowmelt, not because you doubt you can make it, but because you know the water is cold and real, and there is no way across it that doesn't require getting wet. The next morning, he rode into Durango alone. He spent 4 hours in the county records office with the particular methodical patience that 15 years of investigative work had made second nature. He found the original lien documentation. He found 3 separate irregularities in the chain of title that Pruitt had filed. He found the name of a territorial land attorney in Santa Fe who had successfully challenged 4 similar claims in the previous 2 years. He rode home slow, letting the horse set its own pace through the snow. By the time he reached the post, he understood that the legal problem was solvable. He understood that was not, actually, what he had ridden to Durango about. He found her at the trade window, tallying the day's exchanges. "Clara," he said. She looked up, and Marcus Reyes, who had not said anything unrehearsed to another person in longer than he could clearly remember, said something he had not planned and could not take back. "I don't want to leave in the spring." She set down her pencil. She did not answer immediately, which was her way, not the silence of fear, but the silence of a person who understood the weight of words and would not spend them carelessly. The wind came off the mountain. Outside, the snow had stopped, and the world was very white and very still. "What does that mean?" she asked. Not hopeful, not suspicious, careful, exact. "It means the post runs better with 2 people who mean what they say." He looked at his hands, the right one, with the healed wrong knuckles. "It means I sleep better knowing someone else is on the other side of the wall. It means that drawing you asked me for is the first thing I've made in 4 years that felt like it was for something real." He looked at her. "It means I came here because my father asked me to, and I stayed because I wanted to, and I would like to keep wanting to." She was quiet for a long moment. "I told myself this wasn't going to happen," she said. "I told myself the same thing. I came out here to stop being known," she said. "To stop being Robert Hale's grieving woman or Virgil Doss's managing niece. I wasn't looking to be anyone's." She stopped. I don't know the word. Neither do I, he said honestly. But I think the word comes after the decision, not before. She looked at him then. Really looked at him, the way she'd looked at that first drawing, finding the true lines beneath the surface, past the reputation and the healed wrong hand and the carefully maintained distance. Your father was a meddlesome old man, she said. Yes, Marcus said. He was. And he was right. He usually was. She was quiet for a moment longer. Then she turned back to the trade window and picked up her pencil and said, without looking at him, "The lien on this property, can it be challenged?" "Yes," he said. "I have the documentation. I know the attorney." "Then we should write to Santa Fe." "We." She had said it without emphasis, without underscoring it, as if it were already simply true. "We should," he said. Pruitt came on a Tuesday in December with a county assessor he introduced and a smug certainty that had apparently survived every previous setback. He came to the trade window, which told Marcus everything he needed to know about the man's understanding of who ran the post. Clara was at the counter. She did not step back. "Miss Doss," Pruitt said, "the season's end is 3 weeks away. The lien stands and the title question has not been resolved to the counties. It's been resolved to the territories," Marcus said. Pruitt looked at him with the recalibration of a man encountering an obstacle he hadn't accounted for. Marcus set a folded document on the counter. A response from the Territorial Land Office in Santa Fe, signed by Commissioner Aldridge, confirming that the lien documentation you filed contains 3 discrepancies inconsistent with a valid original claim. The title for this property is held by Miss Doss as sole proprietor. That's territorial law. It supersedes county practice. He paused. The attorney's name is on the bottom of the page if you'd like to discuss it further. Pruitt looked at the document. He looked at Clara. He looked at Marcus with the expression of a man redoing arithmetic that keeps coming out wrong. "I'll be reviewing this," he said. "You're welcome to," Marcus said. "The review won't change the findings." Pruitt left. The assessor went with him, with the relieved expression of a man who had been hoping not to be involved. Clara looked at Marcus across the counter. "You didn't tell me you'd already written to Santa Fe?" she said. "You didn't ask," he said, and then, quieter, "I should have told you." "Yes," she said. "You should have." But there was no real edge to it. She looked at the document on the counter, and then at him. "That wasn't just a legal question to you?" "No," he said. "It wasn't." She nodded, slowly, as if confirming something she had already understood. "Marcus," she said. He waited. "Ask me again. What you said at the trade window." He looked at her for a moment. Then, he came around the counter, not dramatically. This was not a dramatic man, and she was not a dramatic woman. And they both understood that was part of what made them fit. And he stood in front of her in the afternoon light that came through the west window and turned everything amber and honest. "I'm not an easy man," he said. "I'm quiet to the point of difficult, and I've spent 4 years being someone the law used and then set aside. And I don't know how to promise you a future I can't see clearly yet. But I can promise you this." He met her eyes. "I will be here every morning. I will keep the roof from leaking and the ledger from error, and I will draw you every view you ask for, and I will see you every day for as long as you'll let me." Clara looked at him with the same clear, unhurried attention she gave to everything that mattered. "Your father knew," she said softly. "I think he always knew. Stubborn old man." "The worst," Marcus said. "I'm not easy either," she said. "I'm careful, and I'm slow to trust, and I have been managing alone long enough that I don't always remember how to let someone help." A pause. "I'm telling you that now, so you know what you're asking for." "I know what I'm asking for," he said. She looked at him for one more moment. Then she said, "Then the answer is yes." They were married in the Durango courthouse 6 weeks later, in late January, with Soaring Elk as an unexpected and delighted witness and Mrs. Gallagher from the dry goods store, who had been quietly rooting for them since the day Clara held her ground with Calloway, standing in as the second. Small towns remember everything. They forgive more than you'd think. The post changed after that. Not suddenly. The way real things change gradually, in the texture of daily life, rather than in any single moment. The storeroom became a proper room. A second window was cut in the east wall to catch the morning light. The maps and drawings that had been folded on the cot were framed, one by one, and hung on the walls, where customers would ask about them, and Clara would say, simply, "My husband made those," with a directness that made the word husband sound like something she had chosen rather than something that had happened to her. In the spring, when the snow came off the San Juans in long silver ribbons, and the creek ran high, and the aspens came back in pale gold green, she found him at the East Ridge with his sketchbook, working on a new drawing of the view she had first asked for updating it. She saw, for the season. She climbed up and sat beside him. After a while, she said, "I need to tell you something." He looked at her. Her face was doing something he had learned to read over the winter, not complicated, but careful. The face of someone choosing words with full awareness of their weight. She told him simply. The way she said everything that mattered. He went very still. The sketchbook stayed open in his hands. The half-finished spring ridge and the gold-green aspens, and the silver creek, unfinished on the page. For a long moment he just looked at the mountain, at the same mountain he had been drawing for 4 months, the mountain that had started as a place to get through the winter and had become, without his fully deciding it, the place where the future was. Then he set the sketchbook down on the rock beside him, turned to her, and took both her hands in his, the right one with the healed wrong knuckles, and the left one that was steady and sure, and held them. Not with words, not with drama, just held them, the way a man holds something he had stopped believing he deserved. In the long golden morning, on that small and stubborn trading post on the edge of the San Juan country, Clara Doss, who had walked west to become someone new, and had instead, against every careful plan, become someone more, finally stopped moving. And somewhere in the distance, in the deep place where a father's love outlasts his body, Ed Reyes, who had been right about most things and had never stopped being right about the ones that mattered, was smiling. I have told a lot of stories about this country. Men who came here for gold and found only cold. Women who survived things nobody wrote down. But this one stays with me differently, because the hardest thing a person can do, harder than any crossing and any winter, is to stop protecting yourself from the very thing you actually need. Clara had been managing alone for so long she'd made a virtue of it. Marcus had been used by the law long enough that he'd made a virtue of needing nothing. Ed Reyes understood that neither of them would move toward the other, as long as they were only being practical. So he sent them toward each other without asking permission. From a bed he would not get up from again, with the complete and unconditional faith of a man who knew both his debts and his people. That's a kind of love that doesn't ask for anything back. And it's the reason this story is worth telling. Thank you for riding with me today. Wherever you are, I'm grateful you were here. Until next time, keep going. Sometimes the people who love us most know that the only gift worth giving is the one that lets us choose freely. Ed didn't rescue Clara or Marcus. He simply placed two honest people close enough to find each other, then got out of the way. If someone in your life once did something like that quietly, without asking for credit, maybe today is a good day to remember them with a little extra gratitude. A small note for you. This story was created and fictionalized by AI, crafted to bring you a moment of entertainment and, hopefully, leave something warm and useful in your heart.